Hey, Ka-Lok here. I'm trying to bridge the gap between creatives and marketing, and today's question from my friend Ben asking how to write a better video/creative brief is a perfect place to start, since this is usually where a project begins and already things start to be lost in translation.
I would love to know if there were any best practices or formats or mistakes that you commonly see clients making in giving you briefs, and if there's any particular tendencies that you especially like to make the process as smooth and frictionless in delivering the instructions as possible.
Great, I love it. My background is in filmmaking and I've received, written and reviewed my fair share of briefs over the years, so over the next 3-4 minutes or so I'll try and get to the key things that I think are important. 1. One page. It's called a brief. The hint's kind of in the name, so keep it brief. I know the thinking is to be as clear as possible and give it as much information as you can, but when it gets over a certain length, it tends to get lost in complexity. A lot of briefs read more like a dissertation trying to solve all the business problems, rather than focusing on whatever this specific issue is. 2. Explain the problem. Why are we doing this? What's the problem we're solving? Are you launching a new product that needs awareness? Are sales low? Is this a conversion thing? Just explain what it is. Don't treat the people working on it like they're thick and they're not going to understand. They might not need all the details, but if you don't share the goals won't be a priority, and that's exactly how you end up getting stuck in loops of revisions because each side just has misaligned expectations of what they're trying to achieve here. 3. Have only 1 to 2 key messages. I can't begin to count the number of times I've received a brief with a laundry list of messaging to try and fit into a 60-second ad spot. If it takes you longer than the video to read all the messages in the brief, it's not gonna fit, let alone be remembered. So if your audience walked away remembering only one thing, what would you want that to be? Do that. Just say that one thing really well instead of skimming over 6, 7, 8, 9 different things. I liken it to Game of Thrones, that if Game of Thrones can't satisfyingly wrap up 8 seasons of storylines for all their characters and please everyone, then you're probably not going to be able to fit in all those messages into that 30-second ad spot. 4. Explain what finished looks like. This is going to be key if you don't want to be stuck doing constant changes. Not knowing is like building IKEA furniture without ever having seen what the finished product should look like, so you might get a finished result that holds a book, but it's not the bookshelf that you were after. Briefs can be a bit wishy-washy because the person writing it might not have the right terminology or sometimes even an idea of what they actually need, which I'll get to in a sec. But the key thing to remember here is to clearly describe what finished looks like to you. 5. What is essential? What are the things that must be included in the final film or final piece? It might be a line of messaging, a specific feature, or a call to action. Whatever it is, just be clear on what needs to be in there. It's also good to say what can be experimented with as well. We all want some creative freedom and autonomy in our work, and that's usually when the best creative work is made. So help direct that energy to the parts of the project that can be played with. The team are going to be satisfied that they get to flex their artistic and problem-solving muscles, and you might just be happily surprised with the outcome as well. 6. It's not a to-do list. A brief should be descriptive, not prescriptive. It's okay to provide suggestions, but when it's specific ideas, it always becomes a to-do list, which makes the people working on it feel like a robot or a monkey with a finger just carrying out the tasks. If you have a set idea of exactly what you want, you're not really letting the creative team use their experience to help you, and they're gonna have a lot of suggestions, which is why consider letting the creatives write the brief with you. I've seen it happen many times when a bad brief has gone through and mid-project the client realizes they were just totally off track with what they thought they needed. It's like self-prescribing a triple bypass surgery when all you needed was a good back rub to get a burp out. So having an expert in the room as you talk through what you're after is going to save you a lot of headache later on. The creatives are going to have suggestions on what you might need, and they're going to have the right terminology and words to use in the brief so the rest of the team can understand. These are just some of the vital things that I look for in a brief, and with these in mind, hopefully you'll be able to spot any red flags early on, whether you're writing one or receiving one. If you like this video, you might also be interested in this video, which I'll link somewhere on the screen, where I talk about how I take a brief and its goals and turn that into an effective commercial for the client. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.